Yes! Alrighty, what's up everybody? It is I, your Travel God of Extreme, Peter Joseph here, for a cloudy, overcast, Tuesday afternoon, late Tuesday afternoon, getting close to Tuesday evening and Tuesday night, and soon to be Tuesday night. You know what that means. We got NXT coming up in a little bit. It's taped, not live, it's taped tonight. It was taped after Showcase, after Showdown, not Showcase, sorry, Showdown from last week. So we're going to get that this week, but the following week, October the 21st, we'll be back to a live show, as it'll be the go-home show for Halloween Havoc next Saturday night on pay-per-view. So we got all that tonight. Tomorrow we got a 3 hour, or pretty much maybe 3.5 hour edition of Dynamite and Collision, back-to-back, basically, from 8 to 11. Should be a pretty decent show, the go-home show before Wrestle Dream this Saturday. So that should be interesting. Thursday, we got TNA, the aftermath of a very good Bound for Glory, and now pretty much on the road to the end of the year. I don't even know what the next event is, maybe Under Siege, or I don't know what's next, but we'll see what happens with the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Mike Santana. And also the new Intercontinental Champion, Steve Maclin, got his belt back from Kaz. And we'll see what the controversy with the Call Your Shot champions, that's Dolph Ziggler or Nick Nemeth and Kaz, because he lost the belt and then somehow got into the Call Your Shot gauntlet match. And him and Mr. Nick Nemeth pinned each other at the end. And Santana's like, oh, I guess we're both champions. You know, like, no, come on. And we got that. And then they almost tried to cash in on in the main event against Mike Santana and then failed. So we'll see what happens with that. And much, much, much more Thursday night on TNA Impact Wrestling, which I think is live. I'm not sure, but we got that. Ring of Honor, as always, coming up this Thursday night. And this Friday, a new edition of SmackDown, I believe from San Jose, California. Should be some interesting stuff, as we are now, we're leading to Halloween Havoc at NXT. The next actual event for WWE and the main roster is Saturday night's main event, November the 1st, which is 3 weeks from Saturday. So, we're going to start the road with that. See what happens with that. Cody's still a champ. Who cares? And moving on. But that's the week in wrestling, and we'll talk about wrestling in a little bit. Not now, but we've got serious stuff to talk about. But thanks for watching right here on Metal God 669. And as always, thank you for watching. Once I said it before, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't already. And that's pretty much it. Like the video as well. Alright, let's get serious, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't come to my channel, this is a tribute channel / music channel, but I do talk about music on most of my videos, with concert footage, concert reviews here and there. Album reviews will be coming pretty soon, and some top 10 lists and stuff like that. So that's coming later, not right now, but I'm getting into that. I'm going to get back into the music part of the channel at some point this year. The rest of the year. We'll see what happens with that. But, like I said, this channel is a tribute channel to the faithful departed in the world of music, movies, and other stuff. We had that. Alright, check out my last video on the channel. We lost Diane Keaton, so check that out. And all my other tribute videos for Ozzy, Hulk Hogan, and stuff like that. That we lost a lot of good people this year, so, and that's that. So as the video title, the title of the video, I gave a talk to them, sorry. As the title of the video says, we lost another icon in the world of R&B. Not my particular type of music per se, but I do like some R&B artists like Sade and Mary J. Well, my favorite is Mary J. Blige. I mean, can't go wrong with that. There's a few others in the R&B pop world, like 3LW and TLC bands. Not bands per se, but people like that. But this guy, was a unique musician, kind of branded R&B and soul into into a brand called Neo Soul. And it was a pretty big guy in the early 90s. I didn't really listen to much of his music, but one song really, really was great. And the song was called Untitled, How Does It Feel? And it's by the R&B legend D'Angelo. D'Angelo has passed away today. Yes, he has. I'm not lying about this. It's not fabricated. It's on TMZ. Look it up. So, R&B singer D'Angelo, who pioneered a genre of music known as Neo Soul, died today after a bout with cancer! Fucking cancer! The C word. Yeah, he died of cancer today at a very young age. He was only a couple years older than me, and I didn't even know that. 51 years old. Young guy. His family confirmed the death in a statement to Variety Magazine, or Variety.com. And I'll read the little statement, and I quote, "The shining star of our family has dimmed his light for us in this life. After a prolonged and courageous battle with cancer, we are heartbroken to announce that Michael D'Angelo Archer, known to his fans as D'Angelo, has been called home, departing this light today, October 14, 2025. We are saddened that he can only leave dear memories with his family, but we are eternally grateful for the legacy of extraordinarily moving music he leaves behind. We ask that you respect our privacy during this difficult time, but invite you all join us in mourning his passing while also celebrating the gift of song that has left for the world." That's the statement from the family. Associates close to D'Angelo remembered him on social media. DJ Premier, who produced his song Devil's Pie, nice name for a song, he said, "Such a sad loss to the passing of D'Angelo. We have so many great times. Gonna miss you so much. Sleep peacefully, D. Love you, King." Oh, sorry. Let me take that back. Sleep peacefully, D. Love you, King. Things are written differently and they sound differently, but it is what it is. He was an elusive figure who burned bright in the spotlight. He released 3 albums throughout his career, including his 1995 debut, Brown Sugar, 2000's Voodoo, and his last album, 2014's Black Messiah. Not Leopard Messiah, that's Black Messiah. With his group, The Vanguard. He developed a signature sound with Brown Sugar, marrying classic R&B tropes with hip-hop influences, before developing a richer, soulful aesthetic for Voodoo. And he won 4 Grammy Awards. 4 Grammy Awards for the last 2 records. Not the third one, obviously. And was a crucial figure in ushering in the era of Neo Soul. His son, Michael Archer II, he shared the son that he had with Angie Stone, I remember her, who died in a car accident earlier this year. I didn't know that. I thought she was still alive. Wow, Angie Stone has passed? Yeah, interesting. So his son said in a statement, "I am grateful for your thoughts and prayers during these very difficult times. As it has been a very rough and sad year for me, I ask that you please continue to keep me in your thoughts, as it will not be easy. But one thing that both my parents taught me was to be strong, and I intend to do just that." So, let me move on with that. So, it's said that, his son lost his parents in a span of a year. That hurts, man. That hurts. I mean, you lose your mom and dad in the span of a year. It's hard to come back from. It's very hard to come back from. I know people from experience that have lost their mom, their dad, and their brother or sister in the span of a year to COVID or whatever it may be. It's just sad. But, they get through it. They got to keep going. And eventually they'll see them on the way up. So, it is what it is. A little bit of more backstory for D'Angelo. He was born in South Richmond, Virginia, or Virginia, whatever you want to call it. He embraced music at a young age, learning to play piano at the age of 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want your son or daughter to, get into the music business, or you want to teach them music, teach them at a young age. Because then, you never know, they'll grow up to be, like, big rock stars or, legendary R&B singers. You never know what they can be. If they get into that age, teach them metal at the age of, at least by 5. Teach them Ozzy by 5. Then I'll be like... Yeah, then Mom's like, hey, son, this is Taylor Swift. The fuck is that shit? Mommy, I don't like this shit. Fuck that shit. I want to listen to some bombastic rock and roll. Or even Jim Morrison. Jim! Moving on with that. Anyway, so he played piano at the age of 3, playing in the church alongside his dad, who was a Pentecostal minister. Throughout his adolescence, he performed locally in groups including Three of a Kind, Michael Archer and Precise, and Intelligent, Deadly, but Unique, otherwise known as IDU. Not IOU, but IDU. Sounds vulgar, but okay. In 1993, he signed to EMI and wrote the hit You Will Know for the group Black Men United, otherwise known as BMU. And all these fucking names like BMU, 3LW, TLC. Can we have normal names for bands and artists, please? I'm just saying. Anyway, he released his debut album Brown Sugar in July 1995. He spent 65 weeks on the Billboard Top 200 album chart. Not as long as Dark Side of the Moon. Just saying. Spawned the hits Lady, Cruisin', and a title track, Brown Sugar, and launched him as a major new star. The album helped drive the neo-soul movement of the mid-1990s, selling albums with a similar sound and spirit, which fused the R&B in 60s and 70s with contemporary hip-hop informed styles, which were followed by Maxwell, Erykah Badu, that girl that sings, You Better Call Tyrone! Call him! Okay. Anyway, sorry I'm singing, but it is what it is. He also performed with on Lauryn Hill's multi-platinum album, The Miseducational Lauryn Hill. Great album, by the way. See, yeah, I listen to other stuff besides, the metal. Just saying. Singing and playing electric piano on the song Nothing Even Matters, as well as tracks by Method Man, METHOD, man, and the GZA of Wu-Tang Clan. I listen to Wu-Tang too, religiously. It's great. And their solo albums, just... And yes, Method Man did a song with Limp Bizkit. It's a great song, but, Limp Bizkit of all bands. Dude! Could have sang with Ozzy, it would have been great. Actually, he did a song with Ozzy, but it was like... Anyway. Actually, it wasn't with Ozzy. What was it, Was it Ozzy? Was it, I forget. I know, I thought Method Man did a song with a metal band, I forget, besides Limp Bizkit, but... Anyway, where was I? Okay. He also released a live album in 1995 titled Live at the Jazz Cafe that featured his companion and backing vocals at the time, Angie Stone, before she became his wife, as well as strong covers of Smokey Robinson's Cruisin', Earth, Wind & Fire's Can't Hide Love, and the Ohio Players' Heaven Must Be Like This. But most significantly during this era, he found a kindred spirit in Amir Questlove Thompson, drummer and leader of The Roots, who we all know now are with Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. Great band, by the way. Became a close friend with whom he could collaborate for much of the rest of his career. The pair even performed with their idol Prince, remember Prince, on a few occasions. The two of them would spend the next several years at work on a follow-up to Brown Sugar, which was Voodoo, which was finally released in January of 2000. So it took about 4.5, almost 5 years for the next album to come out. So, get those albums out quick. Unlike Guns N' Roses, or Van Halen, and other bands that take 15 years to make their next record. That album was the end product of many months of recording and mixing, primarily at New York's Electric Lady Studios. I've been there with a group of musicians who came to be known as the Soulquarians, primarily D'Angelo, Questlove, horn player Roy Hargrove, keyboardist James Poyser, bassist Pino Palladino. That's a great name! Pino Palladino! And producer Jay Dilla. That's another nice name, Jay Dilla. Not Jay Drilla, but Jay Dilla. Who pushed the boundaries of R&B and also worked on albums by Erykah Badu and rapper Common, good actor too, at the time. According to legend, the musicians would warm up by playing favorite albums like Sly and the Family Stone's There's a Riot Going On and Prince's Parade. That's a great album. Not a great album per se, but, not like 1999 or even before that. In their entirety, though recordings have not emerged. I'm sure they're there in the master recording somewhere. In the bowels of the building. Those albums and many others helped inform Voodoo, which is considered a cornerstone of modern R&B with an influence has resonated over the decades. Good album. However, the album's lead single, the soulful, smoldering ballad untitled Houses Feel, was spearheaded by a video that featured... if you've never seen this video, go look it up on YouTube. Right now. It featured a shirtless, muscular D'Angelo and turned him into a major sex symbol. And they showed him from the waist up. They didn't show him, down. He was completely naked. It was a great video. I didn't, look at the guy. I'm like, oh, that's nasty. But anyway, who wants to look at a guy naked? I'm like, what is this, Aerosmith's Living on the Edge? Come on now. We're freaking, Steven Tyler's grabbing his junk in half the video. Well, the first part of the video, before the guy jumps out of his body. Who wants to see that? No one wants to see that. No one wants to see a man, a rock guy, or anybody, just, standing in front of the camera like I'm doing right now, and, singing and rocking out with his cock out. I mean, it's great for metal, but, I want to see some guy just, completely naked. Or just grabbing his junk. Nothing wrong with that, but it's there. So, whatever. Moving on. Basically, he turned him into a sex symbol, a role he did not want and kind of pulled back or recoiled from. While the Voodoo tour, also featuring most of the Soulquarians, was a major success, cemented his popularity, D'Angelo largely disappeared from view for the next decade. Damn. Splitting with at least 2 managers and 1 record label. Those fucking records labels are, I know those from experience. Those meetings are just bad. Not that I've been in many, but, from experience, the record label wants it this way, the band wants it this way, they're arguing, fighting, and the next thing you know, fuck you! They're leaving. I'm like, where you going? Take me with you! I'm saying, I've been in a few of those meetings where I have no say because I'm just listening. And I'm like, oh, this sounds pretty good to me. What do you think? I think this way and you think that way. I'm just going with the band. I don't care. I mean, it's whatever, but, that's that. Where am I here? I forgot. So he left the music scene for a decade because of the whole him being a sex symbol. He didn't like it. It was kind of like Kurt Cobain, when he got, the fame was just too much for him, and next thing you know, blew his brains out because he couldn't handle the fame. It was just sad. Sad that Kurt Cobain died because he could not handle the fame. His band was like the biggest band in the early '90s, the whole grunge movement and everything, which kind of put a backseat to metal, even though there's certain bands like Metallica and Priest and Maiden still doing albums, and Pantera coming around. Well, grunge was like here, metal was like right here, and then after Kurt Cobain sadly passed away, metal started creeping back up, and then you have bands like Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, was still right around here, but metal started coming up, and grunge just started going down, and alternative rock went down. You know, you had the start of nu metal with Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park coming around, and Creed and Nickelback and Lamb of God later on in this moment. Moses and White, Sepultura, those bands. Everybody's saying that metal is dead. No, it's not. Metal is not dead. It'll always be around. It's pretty much getting back. It kind of slipped a little bit in the last few years, but now it's back on the rise. We got new bands coming out, like Conquer Divide, Lynx, New Year's Day was around in the early 2010s. The 2010s, actually. They have a new single out, actually. A new video for a song called Ghost, or Your Ghost. Go check it out. But that's that. If you think metal is dead, you're crazy. You're crazy. Because it still sells out every single night. The same. Just saying. You think you know everything about metal? You don't. Do a video about it. Go ahead. Try to prove me wrong that you know more metal than me, because I've been in the music business for a long time. Not that long, but, since my college days, really. Since I was like in my early 20s to pretty much now. Like about almost 30 years. So, I know the metal scene from the 80s and 90s up to now. And you don't. That's that. Alright, moving on. So he split with the two managers on a record label. He was arrested for DUI and marijuana cocaine possession. Damn. Prompting alarmist reactions from fans and tabloid media. He was an obsessive musician. He retreated to his home in Virginia, spent years honing his last and final album, with occasional reports of progress materializing. It kind of feels like Chinese democracy. or the ever so popular new Tattoo album from Van Halen that took like how long? The last actual studio album from Van Halen was Van Halen 3 with Gary Cherone. And if you think about it, really the best of both worlds, the two CD box set. That new stuff from Sammy and Dave. Dabba 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 dibbity Roth. I mean, it was good, and then they had the best of Van Halen Volume 1, which was like a mix of Van Roth and Van Halen, nothing of Van Cherone. I still think Van Hagar was way better than early Van Halen. Which is good, but I love Sammy Hagar! I like that version of Van Halen the most. Pretty much from 5150 on. Just sad they broke up, and then Gary Cherone, of all people, Gary Cherone from Extreme comes in. They made Van Halen 3, which wasn't great. It had one hit. I mean, Eddie was just, Eddie, The album didn't even sell that much. And then they had that reunion with Dave, and then they just playing all, nostalgia stuff, like what Poison was doing, or is still doing. Nothing wrong with that. You're going on the road, you're playing all the old hits at 80s festivals and shit. That's great. I want to hear some new stuff. I mean, we haven't had an album in 10, 15 years. They have Poison. I'm just hypothetically saying, no? And it's been a while since we had a actual new Poison album with Brett and, the entire original lineup, which still kick ass. But they talk about new music and then nothing happens. I'm too busy to do an album, Yeah, the lead singer, like Bret Michaels, is doing all his solo stuff, which is great too, but, you have CeCe and Bobby Dahl and Ricky Rocket going on YouTube saying, oh, we're thinking about doing some new music. I like if we can get Bret in the fucking studio. And most bands are from the 80s. They make a comeback, and it's not the same band. There's some original members, but, they're, not the same sound. Nothing wrong with that. Like, Rat is not Rat with Stephen Pearcy because he has his own version of Rat, and there's another version of Rat. Like, Queensryche has Jeff Tate, who's retiring. Nobody retires in metal. Nobody. Kiss ain't retiring, we know that. Kiss is doing a one-off Las Vegas thing. And I heard Bruce Kulick's gonna be there. Don't know about, Ace, because he's very, sick. Gene Simmons got into a car accident. Thankfully, he survived. Paul Stanley's Paul Stanley. Well, that guy. Peter Criss is somewhere around, and, Eric Singer's with, with Tommy Thayer and everything, and but his Kiss now. And Vinnie Vincent's somewhere on the planet. I mean, if anybody hears from Vinnie Vincent, let me know. It's like, he's still alive? That guy did so much fucking cocaine, it was just insane. Not like, what's his name? I can't even think these guys' names anymore. Not like, Tony Khan cocaine level, but Rick James level cocaine. I mean, Vinnie Vincent, on his solo stuff, I seen, he did a couple videos, and he just looked out of his mind. I'm like, what is it? That's not the same Vinnie Vincent from Lick It Up. What the fuck? Anyway, moving on. So I'm not gonna get into much more of this. But yeah. He worked with Snoop Dogg, which is a good thing. And, made a return in the 2010s, touring Europe, and his last, did some R&B covers. He also performed the electrifying encore at a 2013 Music of Prince tribute at Carnegie Hall. I've been there. Along with Questlove and members of the Roots and the Revolution, the early version of the Revolution, Prince of the Revolution, leading a rousing version of Baby I'm a Star. That's a good song. That had the audience out of their seats. You gotta love it. His last album, Black Messiah, finally arrived in 2014. Wasn't taken, but it is what it is. He contributed a song called Unshaken to the soundtrack of Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2019. Has you ever played that game? You can hear that song. 2021, as a pandemic, fucking virus left finally. It's still around, kinda. He played a solo set at the Apollo in Harlem. We all know what that is. As part of the Versus webcast, where he was joined by Method Man and Redman. Oh, those guys! If you don't know who Method Man and Redman Method Man and Redman, if you never saw, I think it was Higher Learning, I think it's called. Not Class Act, that's with, Kid and Play. I think it's Higher Learning, which was filmed at my old stomping grounds of Brooklyn College. back in the day, they had that bridge which connected the two, the East Campus from the West Campus. They had that bridge right around down the avenue. They took that down, I think, years after that movie was even came out. When I got there, that bridge was gone. It was a good thing. Shit. And the where the gym was, where they played basketball, that's torn down. It's now the West. I think it's called the East Quad now. New gym looks great. I haven't been to Brooklyn College in, God, for like 10 years, I think. Last time I went there was for a basketball game. Like a playoff game. And they lost. I think both the men and women lost in the playoffs. It sucked. Me and Rosa were there. We had good times back then. Brooklyn College was just an amazing time. With the radio station and all the good times I had there. I miss those. I miss it there. I might go there one day. When I have a chance, I might go to Brooklyn College just to look around. Maybe I'll see some people I know. I doubt it, but anyway, that's that. All right, I'm not gonna go further with everything. So, just a sad day in the world of R&B and music in general. That Michael D'Angelo Archer has passed away. We know him as D'Angelo. It's sad to hear about his death. And that's pretty much it. Alright guys, that's it for my video. Leave me your thoughts and opinions about the passing of D'Angelo. And that's pretty much it. So as I always do on my rest in peace videos, I take a little sippy sip of whatever I got. So this time we got Arizona iced tea. So to D'Angelo, you are a great man, sir. Great music. Not my particular, style of music I love, but, that one song, Untitled, How Does It Feel, and Brown Sugar are great songs, I don't listen to them all the time, but, you're a great man, and I hope you're having fun up there with all the other legends up there in heaven, kicking ass, and that's that. So to D'Angelo, rest in peace, sir. Here's to you. That's it. Alright guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. We'll talk about some wrestling coming up in a little bit. And that's that. Alright, until next time, take each day as it comes, because we never know when it'll be our last. Because we don't have that thing like the Nickelback video. We don't know when our countdown clock is. So, when it's time to go, gotta go. It sucks. Because, you die early and you have so much more to do and to live for. But, we can't control that, but it is what it is. So take each day as it comes. Live life to 90%, because the other 10%, I don't know. That's that. Okay, until next time, my friends. Be well, be safe. Peace.